I have a queer kid.
You have a kid.
Gender fluid.
You're cool with it.
I'm not a monster, Jake.
So is Chucky right? Let's fact check Chucky. Or I guess movie fact check, because Chucky's not real. Does Chucky have a queer kid? If so, is the kid gender fluid? And is Chucky actually cool with it? And don't worry, I'll define terms as we go. First, does Chucky have a queer kid? Absolutely. We know this because that's literally the plot of Seed of Chucky. In the movie, Chucky and Tiffany's kid, Glen/Glenda, is questioning their gender. As a reminder, queer is a synonym for anything under the LGBT+ umbrella, so Glen/Glenda absolutely counts. By the way, Glen and Glenda are a reference to the movie Glen or Glenda, which I have covered on this channel before. If that sounds interesting, check it out at the end of the video. Now, is Glen/Glenda gender fluid? But before we continue, I just want to say thank you to my patrons, YouTube channel members, and TikTok subscribers. Without you, this video could have been possible. Patrons get to see a bonus episode where I talk about Seed of Chucky and how addiction is discussed from my perspective as an atheist who went through the 12-step program. And a special thank you to Willow and Albar for being $10 patrons. So as soon as Chucky and Tiffany meet Glen/Glenda, they have questions about what gender they are. So the first thing they do is they pull down their pants. Say it with me now. Sex and gender are different. Not only that, it doesn't really answer the question for them, because in the Chucky universe, anatomy develops as one spends more time in the doll. But this does suggest that Glen/Glenda is intersex, where the sexual characteristics don't neatly fit into male or female. And that doesn't mean that they aren't gender fluid, because sex and gender are different. As I explained in a different video,
Sex and gender are different concepts. When people talk about male bonding, they usually don't mean it sexually. And when someone says man up, they don't mean getting
Stop!
sex is your biology and gender is what's inside of you.
That's what she said.
So, what's inside of Glen/Glenda?
I want a girl!
I want a boy!
You're tearing me apart!
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
So we're about to find out who Glen or Glenda really is, not what Chucky or Tiffany want. Also, a note for new parents or people trying to become parents. It doesn't matter what gender you want your kid to be. Just let them be themselves.
Sometimes I feel like a boy. Sometimes I feel like a girl. Can I be both?
Okay, so we have confirmation now that Glen/Glenda is gender fluid/bigender. And to be absolutely clear, both identities are absolutely valid. Gender fluid people can be one gender one day and another gender another, or some combination. And it's not a choice either. Sometimes it can feel like someone is changing genders so quickly that it blurs together, and other times they may spend months or years as one gender, then change. Totally valid. So now we must ask, is Chucky actually an ally? So, how does Chucky take the news?
Well, some people.
No way!
Not the greatest response from Chucky, but Tiffany's doing pretty well so far, and she goes on to have the perfect response.
Oh, Linda, Glen, whatever. I'm so proud of you. No matter what happens, we'll deal with it together, as a family.
So I reached out to my non-binary friend to see what they thought of this movie, and this was their favorite part of the movie, because it's so accurate to coming out as non-binary. Not everyone will understand, but some will. However, this film isn't perfect. This is one of the many reasons I reached out to my non-binary friend, because despite the speech earlier they really liked, it is a mixed bag of representation, because we're introduced to Glenda, the part of Glen/Glenda who likes to kill people. This is a problem because it correlates being gender fluid with dissociative identity disorder, more commonly known as multiple personality disorder. It also wrongly associates DID with violence when it is a negative, harmful stereotype. In fact, if there are any systems watching, yes, I see you all, and you are all valid for your experiences. You are distinct individuals sharing a body, and that is completely valid, and you all deserve love and respect. Anyways, By the end, Chucky turns around and uses a gender-neutral term for his child.
I have everything I want. A beautiful wife. Multi-talented kid.
So I'm comfortable saying Chucky is an ally, and therefore Chucky was absolutely right. Also, if you don't support your queer kids, you are a monster, and not the fun kind of monster. If you enjoyed this video, I recommend my video on Glen/Glenda, or possibly my video on sleepaway camp. And remember, it's a beautiful day because you're here. See you next time.